So hello everyone. So we'll be starting the session in next 5 minutes. I would just want everybody to just pitch in into this webinar, and then we will start exactly in a 5 minutes. All the attendees, can you please write in the chat box? Are you able to see us and listen to us? The chat box is open to all of you. Can you please write yes if you are able to listen and see to us? Okay, great, great. I can see many yes in the chat box. Great, great. We'll be starting in next 2 minutes. There are many attendees I can see that joining the session. Allow us 2 minutes. We'll quickly start the session. All right, everyone. So we'll be starting the session now. Um, So, as you know, this session is all about the study abroad, what are the career opportunities and everything, what are the countries beneficial to all of us. So, let's quickly start this webinar and very informative session. So, my name is Hani Gupta, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar on most our study abroad questions. As you all know, that the study abroad is a life-changing experience, but the process comes with a lot of questions about universities, applications, visas, scholarships, part time jobs, and many more. So, to help us break it all down and address your query, we are thrilled to have Mr. Arpan. He is a study abroad expert with us, and he has helped hundreds of students to find the right universities, ace their applications, and transition smoothly into their academic life record. Right? So let's dive right into it, Arpan. Thank you, Arpan, for joining us today. And now the webinar is with you. Just go ahead and just tell something about to all our
Hi,
attendees.
honey. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you
Hope
so
you're
much,
doing
Arpan.
well. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah. So, guys, if I talk about myself, I had been working down with study abroad for, I would say, a decent amount of years as of now. And I have helped a lot of students planning their journey and how they carry forward their things in terms of choosing a university, choosing a course, curriculum, and what can be a good suitable suit for them. Yeah. So
Great.
we can go ahead with what are the things that are coming down with us. What are the major things that you guys want me to answer? And I would be happy to help each and every one of you.
Yeah, but it's really nice to have you into this webinar with completely rich experience of study abroad. So we have created a set of question of mostly asked question. I'm sure all the attendees and here and around the world also in India wanted to know about it. So my first question to you, and I think it's the most asked question, what are the top countries for study abroad in this current situation?
Okay, so if you ask me around according to the current situations, one of the topmost country what I would keep according to myself would be Germany. The reason being because of current opportunities, because there have been a lot of articles that have been recently published by the German governments, or I would say by the universities, that they are onto the shorten of skilled labors. Okay,
Mm.
skilled labors, I mean skill people that can work for them. Because if I talk about the stage for them is, or I would say the population for them is at a retiring stage. Okay,
Mhm.
so I would keep Germany as one of the topmost countries according to the current scenarios in terms of opportunities, in terms of financial investment, in terms of, I would say, scholarships, right?
Okay.
Okay, so
Right.
for me, Germany would one of the topmost as of now.
So as per your, Germany is one of the best destination that a student should definitely aim for, right?
Yeah.
Great, great. So as you mentioned about the Germany as one of the top destination or top choices for the student, but does the country have enough English taught courses, or is it compulsory to know German to study in Germany? Because there's a notion behind it that in Germany you need to have a German classes and all sort of thing. We really love to know what is your point into that and clear this query of the student.
See, it's never been a mandate that you should be knowing a German language down there when you're there into the country, right? So there are a
Mhm.
lot of universities that offer you a English taught course. Okay,
Right.
right. So it totally depends upon universities. It totally depends upon the city that you're going on to, right?
Mm.
Yes, I would say that if you learn German language, it can be helpful for people when they go for certain part-time jobs. Because if I talk about Berlin as a city down there in Germany, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's an international city that is being, I would say, established by the immigrants that have come from all across the globe. And if you will see, I would say not major, but around 50 to 55% population down there in Berlin is English speaking population. Okay.
Mhm.
And yes, English taught courses are well versed, are provided down on an ample amount. Okay. And on the other hand, if you move towards public universities, then it becomes mandatory for you to have a German language. But in case of
Okay.
private universities, German language is not mandatory. They have a lot of English taught courses down there.
Okay, so to have English proficiency is definitely an added advantage, but not a mandatory requirement.
Yeah, it's not mandatory. It's something that helps you down where if you're going for a bit management program, right? And if you're looking for a part-time down to management, and if you know the local language, yes, you can be preferred a bit more as compared to a person who would be, I would say, knowing lesser of the language.
Great, great. Yeah, I mean, good. So, but I think you have definitely explained about the Germany, but as I have seen in the current situation, many aspirants feel confused, right? Where they should start, right? Should they log the country first, course first, or anything? So, according to you, what should be the ideal approach for planning the study abroad education?
See, over here, the very first thing what I would look into is that I would make my mind whether I want to go down to abroad or not. Because
Mhm.
one of the
Yes.
major problem what I've seen of with students is that they are not able to decide that whether they should carry forward their education down in India or down there in abroad. Okay,
Mhm.
right. So the very first thing what I would be wanting people to decide, yes, they're 100% sure that they want to go down to abroad. Okay. And then when they're sure that they want to go down to abroad, they should follow a 4C rule where
Okay.
they should first of all select the country of their choice, then the city of their choice, then the college of their choice, and then the course. And yes, if they have the course, they would be going through the curriculum. Okay. So, first of all, decide you want to study abroad. Then decide which country to go on to. Then
Right.
come down to the city. Then come down to what college you want to go down into or the university that you want to go down to. And then your course, that which course you want to go down into.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
So,
basic 4C role, what I say.
fourth key rule. So, as you said, that the clarity of thought process is important, whether you want to go or don't want to go, because you cannot make the decision in between.
Yeah.
Right, right. And the four C's that you have mentioned is definitely helps the student to plan in the things into the chronological order. Right.
Yes, because see, if you first of all start looking for courses, and let's say an example that you decided a course, right? And you decided
Mhm.
I would say, university, but there would be a lot of universities that wouldn't be having that course. Okay,
Right,
right.
right.
And there would be a lot of countries that doesn't offer you that much of opportunities in terms of the course that you have chosen. Okay, because if you talk about, I would say, Masters International Management, that was one of the major programs that is being led by a country like France, right?
Right.
Now, if you move down to the European side, you would be able to find concept of an MIM program more comparatively, okay,
Mm-hmm.
as compared to an MBA, right? But when you move down, I would say onto the other European countries, MBA is preferred more. Right.
Right.
So if you decide the country first, it will help you to decide the city. Then it will help you to decide what university you want to go down into, and then your course.
Great, great. You also talk about, and once we get the clarity of the country and then the course that we really wanted to pursue, there's always comes a financial part, right? Because we know that the study abroad financial parts are very important. So, could you please also talk about an estimate total cost of studying abroad? And in total cost, I mean, which includes the both tuition and the living expenses.
See, when we talk about the financial investment, right? Okay. So it will totally differ from country to country, right? Okay. And when we talk about the living cost, yes, it would also again differ from country to country that you want to. Okay. Because if I talk about US as a country, right? Yeah, your tuition fees comparatively a bit higher as compared to the European side, right? So if you want me to give you an average estimated cost for your study abroad education, that may lead you down in US would be approximately around 40 to 50 lakhs, including a living cost. Okay, right? When you come down to Germany, or I would say the European cost, it would be 30 to 40 lakhs on an average, right? So, see, again, totally depends upon the university that you have shortlisted. Okay, because
Right.
each and every university doesn't have the same fee structure. Okay, right. Then it depends upon the city that you're going on to. Okay, so if I just give you an example, if you stay down in New York, your living cost would be comparatively a bit higher, right?
Right.
Now, if you go down to, I would say, Seattle, or
Mhm.
you go down to Portland, you go down to different states, the living cost would be comparatively bit different, right?
Right.
Same in the countries, states, it depends which university you're choosing, which country you're choosing, and which particular city you're choosing. So that gives
Right.
you the average financial cost done for your education, right? But if
Mhm.
we talk about and study abroad investment, yes, on an average, 40, 50 lakhs is something that's required.
It's required for the total course.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so once we get the clarity on the tuition fees and of course on the living cost, there's always comes a challenge of financials, because not everybody has this much of amount in terms of their self-funding and all. So I really wanted to know, and I'm sure the students also here wanted to know that what are the financial aids are available for the study abroad students?
See, there are a lot of financial aids that are being held up according to the countries, right? Okay. So there are a lot of countries that offers you a good amount of scholarships, right? Okay. Then you have a lot of lending partners that helps you down with education loans, okay, where you can go for collateral education loans, you can go for non-collateral education loans, okay. There are some countries and there are some of the, I would say, financially governed bodies that also help you up for a non-collateral, non-co-applicant education loan. Okay, so if I just give you an example, if you talk about US has a financial governing body known as Empower or Prodigy, right? Okay,
Yes,
that
yes.
helps you up with a non-collateral, non-co-applicant education loan depending upon your future perspectives. Okay, right. So they have a list of schools that they support. Okay, so it's not something that they have all the universities all across US. Okay, so they have certain top-notch universities that are being listed down onto their, I would say, portfolios. Okay, and if you are choosing one of those universities, you can go for a non-collateral or I would say a non-co-applicant education loan. Otherwise, then you have different lending partners that helps you up with a collateral education loan, co-applicant education loan. Okay, and then in I would say scholarships, yes, you can reduce your cost onto a decent amount where you can self-fund your education as well. So if you talk about Germany, Germany offers you a Dutch scholarship, right? So if you have your university that's being listed onto the that website, okay, it helps you up with that scholarships down there, right? So yes, you can fund your education into a lot of means. You can go down to the government banks, right? You can self-fund it, right? You can go for scholarships. You can also go for non-collateral, non-applicant education loans, right?
Great, great. So to sum up, of course, the self-funding, the students have various loan providers, prodigies, Empower in terms of collateral, non-collateral. So many options we have in terms of financing the study abroad thing. Great. So Arpan, now we are clear about the country, we are clear about the core, we're clear about the financial parts of also. Now, very basic question, and I'm sure this looks basic, but I'm sure it's not basic at all. What intake is ideal to apply for, and when should I start applying? I mean, this question is both for masters and bachelor's program.
See, if again, when we talk about the intakes, it's again dependent upon. So every country has the major and the minor intakes. Okay,
Right.
right. So when you talk about US, if you go for the fall, it is being counted as a major intake, right?
Right.
If you go
Hmm.
for spring or an autumn intake, it comes down as I would say a bit minor intake. Okay,
Mhm.
great. Now, when you talk about your journey, so you should, I would say, take at least, I would say, 7 to 8 months before your intake, where you are being started up with everything, so that you are currently on time. Because when I talk about study abroad is not a one-day game, right? There's a lot
Right.
of process that are being involved, right?
Right.
In
Hmm.
terms of finalizing the very first thing what we talked about is your country, right? A lot of people get confused what country I should go down into, right? Then you have the university to choose for yourself, right? Then the
Right.
course, then your postal researches, right?
Right.
And then there's a process that is being involved in terms of your documentation, in terms of if I talk about you applying down into the university, getting your admission offers, then your financial aid. So I would really suggest you down that if you are planning for any of your intakes, yes, a minimum of 7 to 8 months prior, you should start each and everything because that's something that can lead you down on time for the things what you're looking for.
Okay, so 7 to 8 months prior to your course start date, we should start preparing for the study abroad education.
Yeah.
Great, great. Um, Now the very popular questions and very commonly asked question, because there's a word called STEM, which is very famous into the study abroad thing. I really wanted you to explain what is STEM and which is the best country option for pursuing a STEM program.
See, when we talk about STEM programs, so one of the best country to go for STEM programs is always one of the leading economies all across the globe, right? Okay,
Right, right.
that's US as a country. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the reason being because of the technology, because of the opportunities, and I would say STEM gives you one of the maximum outliers, or I would say opportunities in terms of finding yourself a good jobs, good payouts. Okay. So STEM is termed as your science, technology, engineering, mathematic programs that involves technicality, right?
Okay.
Okay. So if you go for STEM designated programs, yes, your part of getting jobs can be onto a bit higher side. Okay. The reason being why? Because if you have STEM with yourself, okay, you can easily turn the things into your favor. Right. So one of the best country to go for STEM programs is US. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see today, if I talk about AI, if I talk about data science, if I talk about analytics, if I talk about informatics, if I talk about computer science, right? Everywhere there is involvement of quantitative mathematics, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would say technology
Mm-hmm.
comes under STEM designated courses. Okay. And that's one of the best, I would say, you can talk about leading opportunities where you can get maximum jobs for yourself, right?
Okay.
So if you want to go for STEM programs, you have US as an option.
US as an option.
Yeah.
Great.
US stands at first, and then I would talk about Germany at second. I would talk about third, would land you down somewhere between UK and Australia, right? Okay. But yes, if you look at the top notch, US is there for you.
The best destination. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So now, you definitely insights about the study abroad is, I'm sure it's very helpful for the student for the destination they are opting for. Now we know about the country, course, financial parts, and I'm sure it must be clear to everyone also. And all the participants, please be hold on. We will take all the questions by end of this once the questions rounds will get over. So now what my next question to is like I know that I want to go to this particular course. So how should I shortlist the right universities? Is there any parameters to opt for or anything I should keep in mind when I am shortlisting the right university for myself?
See, if we talk about shortlisting of universities, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So shortlisting of universities totally depends upon an individual experience, right? Okay.
Okay.
What is your purpose and why do you want to go? First of all, okay. It may be possible that I want to have a diversity down there. I want to take an exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, any of the universities would work. Okay.
Okay.
There would be people that are looking for that at the end of the day, when they end their programs, they have a good, I would say, payout into the industry, right? There would be some people that go down for research, okay, right? So, one of the most common factors what you can keep in your mind when we talk about shortlisting a university is, I would say, what is the status of the university down into the particular country, okay, right? What has been their, I would say, rankings, what has been the accreditations, what the university holds, okay,
Okay.
then what has been the success ratio rate, or I would say the success, what the university or the alumni from the universities have got, Okay.
Success in terms of acceptance success?
Yes, acceptance can be there, right? Okay. And in terms of what I would just give you an example that if I had 20,000 people that have graduated and from the university, okay, great. What was the ratio of the people that were placed within the first 3 months or the 6 months? So that's being also termed as your success ratio rate, right, with the
Okay.
university. And then
Mm-hmm.
what you mentioned is the acceptance rate, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if the acceptance rate of the university is there, you know what exactly you're landing yourself onto. Okay.
Right.
Right. So there can be certain factors, and it's an individual experience, as I already told you, right? Okay. That my choice can be different. Your choice can be different. I believe there would be different people that have different choices, right? So it's on your perspective what exactly you're looking for. But most of the common, look onto the acceptance, look onto the success ratio, look onto the gradations, look onto what is the alumni status, right? Okay. And yes, one of the most important thing, look at the location of the university. The reason being because location can help you up with your part times. That's really important.
Hmm. Great, great. So considering all the factors, the location, acceptance, everything is taking into the picture, shortlisting the right universities, right? So now, as you see, the backlogs are common among the students. So if a student has a few backlogs, does that mean that the student is out of luck getting into the good universities, or do we have any capping in terms of backlogs? Just I would request to show throw lights into this backlog part.
See, to be very true, yeah, backlogs may impact your candidature because there are, I would say, one of the good top universities don't take backlogs that into much into the consideration. Okay,
Okay.
great.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly again, it comes down onto the country and the university again, what you're looking for. Great. Okay.
Right.
So if I just give you an example that if you talk about that you're coming up with 15 backlogs and you're thinking that you would be getting admitted down into MIT. So
Right.
that's nowhere possible. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So looks onto what exactly you're planning for, right? So every certain course, certain university has their eligibility criteria, right?
Okay.
So if you have a good number of backlogs, then your chances getting into a good university lowers down, right?
Okay. Okay.
Because if the certain university accepts only, I would say, on an average of 4 backlogs and you're carrying 10 backlogs, no,
Hmm.
there's no way possible that you would be there into the university. So backlogs matters.
Okay.
And yes, it can impact the things for you, right?
Right. So, I mean, but still, we have options. If a student has, we can find some options because
Yeah, we can.
backlogs that come.
It's not something that people cannot find options. That's the only thing I told you, right? Okay. You can find options for yourself. There are a lot of universities that accepts your candidature if your backlogs, but it's not something that you can have 50 backlogs, right?
Oh, right, right, right.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you have backlogs, it can be onto a certain count. There are some
Hmm.
universities that accepts it, right? There are some countries that don't even look what backlogs are your. Okay.
Right,
So
right.
it's totally dependent upon what exactly you're thinking of. Okay. What
Hmm.
course you're planning for, right? Each country, each university, each course has a different eligibility, right? So, yes, it may be possible that you had 10 backlogs, okay? And what you had been looking onto was, I would say, a program down into artificial intelligence, right? With an XYZ university, right? Yeah, you
Right,
may get the university, but you may not get the same program, right?
right.
Somewhere or the other, you have to compromise on one or the other things. It's not something that you cannot get admitted. You can, but it is not always of your choice. Course can be of your choice. but the university cannot be. So
Right.
that's how things goes.
So I would advise all the students who are looking at our webinar, keep your backlogs on the lower side only, right? It should be always on the lower side. If you have a backlogs, keep it on the lower side. That would be very much advisable. So now, Arpan, as we heard about the SOP, LOR, I think these documents plays a very important role. So is there any way, and how do I write a strong statement of purpose? Because universities, they don't see us, don't see student, they look at the statement of purpose, letter of motivation to understand our intent. So how do I write a strong SOP, and could you please also explain what is LOR to the students, because these two documents are commonly among the study abroad education.
See, if I talk about SOP, so statement of purpose is something that really defines you. Where how you started your journey, what have been your academics, what is your work experience, if you have any, right? Okay. And what have you achieved, and how clearly you can mention it onto, I would say, your statement of purpose would give you better, I would say, or the other person on the other side to understand you onto a better framework. Okay. So I would really suggest that if a person is looking to go for a good, strong SOP, you should not ever copy the things for yourself,
Okay, okay.
right? So it should be you yourself writing it up,
Mm-hmm.
mentioning what have been your achievements, what have you done, right, in terms of your curriculum, what have been your experiences, what have you achieved, if you have achieved anything, right? And how well you know your own self, okay? And why, or what is exactly your purpose of going down there in abroad that
Mm-hmm.
relates you down and clarifies your intent relating down. So, just giving an example, I want to go for a data analytics course and I come from a management background, right? So,
Oh,
how my
right.
management background would be relating now with this data analytics with my future perspectives. So, I need to clearly mention that up, because if I go for something and at the end of the day, that's not relevant down to me, right? And I'm not able to, I would say, produce that in front of the other person, I may get rejected, right? So, what is your relation, or what is your intent, and why do you want to go down there and abroad should be clearly mentioned onto your statement of purpose, right? That defines you as a whole, or I would say that defines you as a person, right? So, one suggestion: never copy a statement of purpose.
Okay.
It can be caught, right?
Right.
Be yourself. Write it down, mention yourself, show your clear intent, relate the things down with the course, the university, the program that you're going for, and it will really help you out. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah. So just to add on to this, right? So you were talking about LORs, right? So LORs are basically the letter of recommendations that are being given down to you. Now, people think that from where should I come up with these LORs? So there are categorizations of LORs. Some are academic, right? And some are professionals. Okay. So, yes, if you come up with 2 to 3 LORs, some university requires 2, some requires 3. Now, it can be a mix of match of both, right? Your academic plus your professional. Okay. Let's take an example that, yes, if you're not able to arrange an academic LOR and you have an experience, because you had an experience of 10 years, right? Okay. And it is not possible for you to get academic LOR. Yes, you can work up with professional LORs, but your professional LORs should not be provided up by the same hierarchical level of the person into the
Okay, got it.
organization,
Mm-hmm.
right? It should be coming up. Let's say an example that you took LOR done from a director of your organization. The other cannot come from the same position, or I would talk about the hierarchy. It should be coming now from a hierarchy above the hierarchy what you have taken
Mm-hmm.
LOR already, right? Same works down into when we talk about your educational LORs. That is your getting it from your college, your universities, right? Okay, same. Again, follow the hierarchy, not from the same person. So if you follow this, yes, your LOR comes on to a stronger part.
Great. Yes, I think this is the good bifurcation you have, mentioned about it. Not many are actually aware of it, and they take the LOR from the same hierarchical level. So I think this is not acceptable. And the SOP part that you have mentioned in the word of AI, your own identity is very, very important rather than copy pasting from here and there. Great. So this is one of the questions that has been asked, like, is there any process to get an education loan, and should we take education loan or not? Because, education loan is a liability which we needs to pay in, upcoming years. So what is your thought on that?
See, if I would say process of taking an education loan, it again depends upon your financial stability, right?
Right.
Okay. Because financial stability is a major thing, right?
Hmm.
Whether you are able to sponsor your education or not, whether you would be able to go for a self funding for yourself or not, right? If you can, then I would say avoid it. But if you cannot, education loan, you have different partners, you have different banks, you have, I would say, different bodies, lenders that helps you up with the education loan. Okay. And yes, education loan is feasible. The reason being because it doesn't give you that much of a burden, right? Burden in a sense that investing a huge lump sum amount of money at a single go, right? Because I would say a lot of people are not able to arrange 40, 50 lakhs. That's the average amount, right? So going for an education loan makes your things easier, right?
Hmm.
Where you don't have to produce the things onto a single go, right? And in terms of repaying the education loan, when you have a job, right? You have foreclosure options, you have a lot of different options for yourself where you can reduce your liabilities, right? So
Right.
I think education loan is not that much liability what we talk about. It's something that gives you ease in planning your journey down there and
Right.
abroad,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
if you take an education loan, because as I earlier mentioned, right, there are a lot of lending partners that helps you up with a non-collateral, non-carping education loan, right? So when you have such an option, you're neither keeping any mortgage, neither keeping anything down for yourself, where the things are bounded for you. You're open, right? And they also help you down with the education loan onto your future perspectives. So if they are able to provide you an education loan, so you need to think that your future would be bright.
Right.
That's the only
So I
reason they are trusting you up.
Definitely, definitely. And I think it gives a ease also. Putting high amount on yourself, it gives an additional burden to parents as well. So loan is something which is definitely on an easy side. Great. So and we are aware of this now. We through this webinar, we are aware the country, the finances and everything. Now there's a lot of question among the student, like when we should start our application process. How so? Is there any duration? What is the duration of study abroad application process, and what needs to be taken care of in terms of application?
See, I earlier also mentioned up when we were discussing the basic major factors, right? So generally, when we're talking about the intakes, right? I mentioned you that a minimum period for you to start your application process should be you should keep 7 to 8 months handy for yourself, right?
Okay,
So that
right,
you
right.
can smoothen your things up and you can smoothen your process. And you are not hassling now, right? Or you're not, I would say, putting yourself down onto a very end-to-end deadlines, right? Okay. when you're able to smoothen your things and you're able to land yourself down into the country, right? So 7 to 8 months, 9 months, I would say, in an average, you should keep for yourself when you start your process. So that, yes, you are not running down onto anything, right? You're not, I would say, speeding up everything for yourself, right? Okay. You have everything on track.
So applying early makes a student plan their study very smoothly, I feel. You can plan everything part by part without any hustle, without any hurry. And I've seen the students who have not planned very well, they have a lot of things. They just get panic, they have anxiety when the things will happen. So that's the I think you rightly said that 6 to 7 months of prior planning is definitely very important.
See, it doesn't lead down to panic, it leads down to disheartedness because I planned for an intake, right? And I made my mind that yes, in this intake, I would be there into the country, I would be studying down with the university, I would be having a different culture, I would be having a different lifestyle, right? But yes, you were not able to plan the things better. You're here into the country itself. You're
Got
sitting
it.
down at your own place. So
Hmm.
it's better to start the things, I would say, 7, 8, 9 months prior, so
Right.
that yes, what you're dreaming of, what you're planning, you're able to execute it onto a front basis.
Right. So, Arpan, now we have a few questions in terms of visa. As you all know, that a visa is something very important in terms of the final takeoff. Is there any common visa interview questions that a student often get caught off, or anything that you want to add on in terms of visa questions?
See, uh, when we talk about visa, one of the I would say common things what visa interviews or I would say people get into visa get is what is the major intent, right? Why they have taken this course, why they have chosen the country, why they have chosen the particular, I would say, course for themselves, right? What is their aspirations and why they want to go down to the country, okay, and
Right.
what they plan for themselves. On the
Mm-hmm.
other hand, I would talk about that what is and how they are planning to financially invest themselves, right? So these are the major things what if you go for any of the visa interviews, these are the major things that people focus on, I would say, and the countries focus on. See, one of the major factors is your intent. That's a major part. That
Okay.
what is your major intent? Why do you want to go down to the country? Because if your intent is not clear, it can be a big question mark on you.
Yeah, the intent means whether you are really going there for a study purpose or going there for something else purpose. I think this is
Yeah,
something very, very important.
intent really justifies and gives you a clarity that what exactly is your plan and
Hmm.
why you have chosen an abroad journey for yourself or why you have chosen a abroad education for yourself. Because that's a major thing. If your intent is not clear, why would I keep you into my country, right?
Right, and this is what you have exactly mentioned in the start of the session. The clarity of thought process is very, very important in studying abroad.
Yes. If you don't have a clarity down with your thoughts, yes, it is a problem. So you are
Hmm.
onto a stage where you think that whether I should go, whether I should not go, and then your intent doesn't comes up clear, right? And then you get rejected.
Right, right. Great. So, this is about the question part about the visa, very clearly stated about the intent part, and I'm sure this is very helpful for the student. Now, as you have seen this time, that sometimes the visa also gets rejected for many reasons. So, now the question that the students ask that what are my options for reapplying? I mean, uh, if this my visa gets rejected, so do we have options for reapplying or anything you want to add on in terms of refusal, the visa part?
See, it's not something that you cannot reapply. Yeah, you can
Mm-hmm.
reapply, but it's something that if you got a rejection, I would not suggest that you are reapplying the visa in, I would say, a shortened duration, right? I would suggest you up to give yourself a break of 3 to 6 months, work on what has been your rejection reason, okay? and then reapply, right?
Okay.
So
Hmm.
yes, you can reapply your visas. It's not something that you cannot reapply, right? But reapplying, just just giving an example that I got a visa rejection and I think of that I should have reapplied within 7 days. I would not suggest it up.
Right,
I
right.
would I would really suggest that what you should do, you should take a bit gap,
Hmm.
work on your things, work on the reason. If there is a financial, if there is an intent, right? Work on your specific reasons and then reapply. So that, yes, again, when you're reapplying, you're able to go through, you're able to get yourself what you exactly planned for, and you have your visa into your hand. So it's simple. Just don't rush onto the things. You got a rejection? Okay, not a problem. Work on yourself. Stay. Take a gap, 3 months, 6 months, reapply. But if you think so that I got a rejection, I should apply it once again. I'm getting a slot in the next 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, and I should apply it up. Your chances is again higher to get rejected.
And I think this
Or
is
if
a
you
very
want,
good,
yeah,
it's a good insight and it's a very thoughtful insight you have mentioned that take a back seat. Think why is it happen? Improve on that. Take a month break, then apply so that there's a
or
chances of approval is very high.
you can also work on to that. See if you got a rejection onto a certain intake, try to change your
Hmm.
intake.
Yeah, we have
Work on the
intakes
same
also.
intake.
Yes. Same.
Reason being
Yes.
because you have got rejected recently, right?
Hmm.
You were not able to get the time to work upon your own self. So I would suggest take a gap, change your intake if you want, and reapply.
That's why in study abroad we have closer intakes also,
Yeah,
so that you can.
because in the European side, the countries work on the four intakes, right? Germany works as four intakes. In US, some of the universities work off at three intakes, that is your spring, fall, autumn. So I would say on a quarterly basis, you have intakes for yourself. So it's not a
Right.
delay for you, right? You get time for yourself, you get the things, you can plan, and put yourself there.
Great. So now there's a lot of question about the part-time working hours also. So can you please explain the country-wise the working hours the student has during the time of semesters or at the time of work hours and in the time of vacation also. So just throw a slide about the part-time working rights. How many
See,
hours that
generally,
they can do?
generally, if I talk about part times, right? So US offers you 20 hours a week onto your academic sessions, right? Germany again offers you 20 hours a week onto your academic session. So if you talk about maximum of the countries onto your academic session, they're offering you 20 hours a week where you can work, you can do your part-time. And when you go down onto your non-academic sessions, yeah, your duration increases. You have 40 hours a week to work, right?
Hmm.
You can do your part times while you're onto your courses. Okay, great. You're there in US, you're there in any of the countries, you're allowed to do part time because
Right.
that's a concept what abroad follows, right? Or I would say the abroad countries follows, right? They want their people to work, earn, and spend. So
Right.
part time is a very common thing now that in abroad. You're allowed to do part times. You go down into any of the countries, yes, you have part times for yourself. You can easily do part time jobs. Academic sessions, non academic sessions. It's just simple. In academic session, the duration what you work for is 20 hours a week. In your non academic, it becomes 40 hours a week. So
Right.
you get a higher time to work upon.
So we have the options available of part-time to stay sustain ourselves in terms of our living cost.
Yeah.
All right. So I have seen the students make mistakes in terms of financials also. So what's the one financial mistake international students often make?
Financial mistakes, I would term it as that people keep their finances onto very edge, right?
Hmm.
So just giving an example that uh, investment onto your education termed as $30,000, or I would say 40,000 euros, depending upon the country that you're going on to. And what you did, you just kept the same amount, right? Nothing, not a single penny more than that, right? So you should not keep your financials really onto the edge, okay?
What
That
does edge means? What
edges
exactly
that
means?
keep it onto a bit higher side for yourself.
Okay, not
So
cut
if
to cut
your
amount. Right. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
so
Okay.
if your investment was 40,000 USD dollars, don't just keep it as 40,000. Go to
Hmm.
42,
Right.
45, because that shows your financial stability, right?
Hmm.
Okay, because if you're keeping it onto the edge, that's a mistake what people make.
Right.
It is not an harm, right? If you're able to keep 40,000, yes, you can stretch it down to 43, right? Keep yourself on a safer side, right? Second mistake what people do is that they keep it onto the lower side. The ask
Oh,
was for 40. They kept it as 38. They kept it as 35, right? So neither onto the edge, neither onto the lower side. Keep it onto the higher side. So if you have it onto the higher side, it becomes easier for you, right? And you
hmm.
will not make these mistakes again, right?
Right. Right. And everything boils down to the finances also. So lit
Yeah.
higher is always good to make the
So if you
students
have
affordable.
something that's on an high, I'm not saying that, oh, you have an investment or your investment required 40,000, so you should keep 80. No, right? 40, make it as 43, 45.
43,
It's
45.
higher
Yes.
onto your investment. So
Right.
it becomes easier for you.
So, this commonly asked question, the safe housing and accommodation is always important part for the students going abroad. So, how do a student find an affordable and safe student housing abroad? What are the options available for the study abroad student?
See, there are a lot of options. There are the in-house, I would say, accommodation or housing where you get help by the university. There are a lot of, I would say, vendors that are there that help you up with the housing down there into the country. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So majorly you have, I would say, in-house where the university helps you up, right? Okay. You have, I would say, different vendors that are there that helps you up down with the housing. Uh, Talk about there are a lot of organizations these days that helps you
Right.
down in accommodations down there and abroad. Okay. So you have a lot of rated vendors in-house to help you down with your housing down into the country. Right. And those are listed. So those act as a safe option for you.
Safe options. Like you
Yeah.
always have an in-house, on campus, off campus, and otherwise
Yes.
sharing, co-sharings options
So
are
in-house,
also
if you
available.
see in-house is one of the safest options, I would say.
Right, right. Away from distraction, and then you can
Yeah.
study comfortably over there. All right. Arpan, as you know that, sometimes students are going abroad, first time they're leaving India and then going to another country, completely new country, right? And I'm sure it's happiness also, but there's a lot of uh, different type of experiences also. So how can student easily adjust to the new cultures, make friends, or what approach they should follow? Because, over friendly is also not good and not talking is also not good. So how to make a balance and enjoy and study also? So what is your call on that?
See, uh, it's very I would term it as one of the very basic things what you've asked me as of now. Okay, or what
Mm.
I would say people would have asked. Going abroad is not only about studying, right?
Yeah,
It's
right,
about
right.
diversity. It's
Mm-hmm.
about how you grow yourself exponentially, right?
Right,
It's
right.
all about, I would say, how you polish yourself. Okay.
Hmm.
So you have people around. And when I talk about the genre, if I talk about surroundings, the environment, right? Okay. People down there and abroad are practical minded, right? Where you are getting people from all across the globe. You're getting a diversity,
Right, right.
right? And when you have a diverse culture, you can easily, I would say, get involved into the environment. right? Okay. And see, when you're there into the university or when you're there into the country, there are a lot of community groups, there are a lot of things, right? Okay, where you can be a part of that, right? And when you're part
Right.
of that, yeah, you're easily able to adjust yourself, you're easily able to make friends, right? And yeah, you adapt the culture. Simple. Because see, when you're here in India, people revolving around you are in the same thought process, right?
Hmm.
And if you have people that are revolving around you, which has a diverse thought process, you will
Mm-hmm.
start acting according to them, right?
Right, right.
Because we learn things, what do we listen to, right?
Hmm.
So if I have a diversity, what I'm listening to, my approach would also change down onto that format or onto that thought process. So you have diversity, you have a lot of family groups, you have a lot of people coming down from different countries, right? Where it becomes very easier for you to make friends because the road is not always to just go into classroom study. It's about polishing yourself, it's about enhancing your skill set because your skill set matters most. Because that is the only thing that lends you or that lands you onto your jobs or what you plan for your future.
Right, you rightly said that studies definitely we are opting for because on this we will make our career. But I think it's overall personality development. I mean, how you change yourself in terms of as a personality. Right. So, thank you, Arpan. Like, I think these are some of the most asked questions that we have collected. I'm sure this is really helpful for all the attendees that they have joined the session. We can also take few questions also. So if anybody has any questions, they can write in the chat box. They can ask here, and we will. Arpan would love to take a few questions. So, Arpan, now the first question that they have is coming from Devanshi Shah, and she's saying that I'm a BCom graduate and I will be applying for an MS Business Intelligence Analyticals in the US for fall 26 intake. Her CGPA is good, like 7, and she's completing a data analytic course also. So I wanted to know your opinion. Would she give the GRE significantly to improve the application, or is it apply without GRE? This is I think it's a good question, Arpan, because GRE is definitely a lot of confusing thing in the student's mind. So please help here with in terms of GRE with GRE or without GRE.
See, I would say if you come up with the GRE, right? Okay,
Hmm.
it would not change your candidature, right? It would just give you an enhance, or it would just give you a bit boost. Now
Mm-hmm.
into your, I would say, not it will not ever change your academics, okay?
Right,
But
right.
yeah, it can make your application a bit stronger, right? But it wouldn't create that much of a difference when we talk about
Okay.
if you don't have a decent score, right?
Hmm.
So there are a lot of people that give GRE, right?
Right,
So
right.
there are by default scores. And if you're landing into a by default score, then it doesn't make any difference.
Right,
Until
right.
unless you have scored something that's brilliant, then it can create a difference. But if you
Definitely.
are landing onto a by default score of GRE, right, then it's not creating any difference. Then it's of no
What
use.
happened? And what happened, Urban, that students take a lot of pressure in terms of GR. And if you're not scoring 320 plus, you're definitely not able to get it. But if you're not able to clear, it's okay. We have not many universities without GRE
There are a lot
also.
of universities that accepts you. There are decent universities, there are decent ranked universities that doesn't ask for a GRE, right? They
Mm,
help you down with you getting admitted down into the university, right? Okay. Depending upon your candidature, depending upon your grades, depending upon the work experience that you hold, the skill set that you carry, right? Okay. So GRE is not a mandate. Okay.
mandate, right.
Until and unless you have scored brilliant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have scored brilliant, then it may matter. But if you are below 320 on a score of 324, 325, it doesn't create that much of a difference.
That's yes, yes.
Right.
So, Arpan, as I can see, there's a lot of questions are coming. So, all the participants, we would love to take all the questions. And we will take one or two questions more. But over and above, I'm sharing you the link. You can have a detailed one-to-one counseling with our counselors. So I'm just sharing the link. Book a slot, have a detailed session, and we would love to answer all the questions. And otherwise, we would also take one or two questions. So there's another question that the student is in third year and CGPA is 9, looking for AI and data science course in US and Ireland also. What would the ideal time for me to give GRE, of course, and TOEFL so that he can apply in 2027 intake?
So I would say once he enters down into his fourth year, right? That would be an ideal time where he starts up with these things because if he's thinking of going for a GRE, then he needs to prepare himself for approximately, I would say, 5 to 6 months because you need a good ample amount of preparation for yourself when you go for a GRE exam, right? You spend 6 months, 8 months. There are a lot of people that have spent years and years and they have not been able to clear GRE, right? So yes, I would really suggest him up that if he wants to go and he wants to apply down into Ireland or other countries like US, right? So when he enters or into his fourth year, that would be one of the best time for him to go and start
Right,
preparing himself for GRE and go for TOEFL, right?
right,
Or any
right,
of the
right,
English proficiency exams, what he looks for.
right, right. So the last question I'd like to take. Otherwise, I have already shared the links where you can, book your schedule and drop your queries. Our team member will definitely connect and love to handle all the questions. The last question I wanted to take here is, the people are asking about the situation in Australia and can we go for MS right now? So definitely, we would love to know your take on that.
See, uh, I would really say, I would not say that it's not a good option as of now. But if I talk about the current opportunity scenarios down there in Australia, is not onto a very higher side, right?
Right, right.
In terms of because see, if you're aiming at that, yes, I want to go, I want to study, I want to do an MS, and I look for a good, handsome job and a payout for myself. So it's not the correct time as of now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right, right.
The reason being because of the saturated corporate market, the reason being because of lower end opportunities that are going on, right? Okay. And on the other hand, I would say the quality of reduced education that's, I would say,
Hmm.
turning the tables down for people in terms of various aspects, right? Because see, you think of sharpening your skills to land yourself down onto good opportunities. So if you don't have that much of opportunity, so it's a basic game of demand and
Right.
supply, right? So the demand is on the very lower side down there in Australia as of now.
Right, good. So, Arpan, I have shared the link where they can all just drop their queries. Meanwhile, I am ending the session. Do you want to add on something when we are closing the session?
So I would really say it was I would say thank you so much, honey, to have me over here, right? Okay. And I would say this is something that can give you a very handful insight about when you plan for your abroad journey. Okay. Right.
Uh-huh.
Where these are the basic things that are being involved when you plan your abroad education. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, if you have anything, you have the link, you can reach out and I would be happy to help you all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arpan. One last question. I think Gaurav has also raised the hand also. I think I should definitely take your help here. He's saying that day before yesterday, he got an US visa rejection for MS in robotics. And he mentioned that the freelancing and my startup in my DS 160, was that a problem or otherwise my interview was good enough? He asked me around 20 questions and I answered well. Gaurav, I am just opening and allowed to talk. You can speak also. Yeah, Gaurav, carry on. Gaurav, my voice is audible. You can speak if you want to. Okay, maybe
Yeah, hi, hi,
he's
hi.
yeah, hi Gaurav. Yes.
Hi Gaurav, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And what about you?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm pretty good. Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, this session was so helpful.
Yeah.
Great. We definitely I think Arpan is here to solve all the queries. Please ask the question.
Mm. Okay, day before yesterday, I had a visa interview in Delhi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, visa officer asked me around 10 questions, and I answered
Okay.
very well. But in
Okay.
my
Yeah.
days 160, I mentioned my startup. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
he asked the first question, like, what is your education background and work experience? So I
Mm-hmm.
answered very well. I showed him like after my graduation, I did my BTech in computer science branch, and after just completing my master graduation, I started freelancing, and over the time I had a good client base, so it inspired me to convert this freelancing work into a business. So I registered my business, and since then I've been working in my company.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how I exactly answered. And after this, I answered so many questions more, but I got rejection at the end. And I discussed with someone. Someone told me like, you didn't you didn't tell, like you should not tell about the your business. It
So
is
were
not
you
good.
were you working up with some of the US clients when you were doing freelancing,
No,
Gaurav?
yeah, they all were Indian clients.
They were Indian clients. So see, it's not that when you mention freelancing onto your ES 160, that would have created a problem, right? Okay. There can be certain factors, right? Okay, see, when we talk about a visa
Hmm.
rejection, to be very true, I cannot give you an affirmative reason that why it's being rejected, right? Okay. So majorly there are four reasons what the I would say reporter on the other side looks onto. Okay. Your very first thing is the intent, why you wanted to go down there in
Hmm.
US. Okay. Second, was your purpose of going down to the country related down to settling, or I would say spending work and coming back? Okay. Or I would say your financials or background that you carry, right? So it may be possible that they were not able to find the correct intent down with you, and that's the only reason you got a rejection, right? But mentioning freelancing and a startup is not a reason, right? Intent can be a major problem, what I mentioned earlier as well.
But when he asked if you are running your business, so why are you going to the USA? So I answered
Yeah.
in my graduation, it gave me a strong foundation in programming and control systems. And in the final semester of my BTech, I got the chance to opt the robotics subject as an elective. So I eagerly opted that and performed very well. And
Yeah.
after completing after graduation, I did freelancing, and then I started my business. And in my business, when I was working on the multiple projects, so I often felt there's a gap in my knowledge, especially in applying robotics and autonomous. So it like it inspired me, and it realized me to get more deeper and specialized knowledge in this field. That's why I chose this robotics, especially for masters. And in this masters, I will learn AI, deep learning, and robotic control, human interference. These all things, if I learn in this master, then after completing the master, these all information, these all knowledge, I will be able to contribute effectively into my business after completing the
Okay.
master when I return to India.
Okay.
I
So
something I
which
this is what I
university
said.
you applied into?
Drexel University.
Drexel University. Okay. Having about the one of the second highest co-ops, right?
Yes. Actually,
Okay.
upgrade has only the option for MS in
Okay.
robotics.
Okay. See, what I would really say that rejection, it's not about that you mentioned freelancing was the reason, right? Okay. It can be a financial, it can be intentful, it can be whether they were able to see that yes, your aim is to go down onto a settlement down into the country. Right. Okay. So see, there are a lot of various factors that comes down when you talk about a visa rejection. Right. Okay. So that's the only reason I told you that I wouldn't be able to give you a very affirmative answer. But what you mentioned that whether mentioning freelancing was a problem, so it was not, I would say.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So, like, is there any we have enough time for September intake to apply for the
Yeah.
next slot, right?
Yeah.
Next visa
Yeah.
slot.
So you have September, you would be also having, I would say, yeah, September would be there. So you applied for your autumn intake, is it? Or which intake were you planning for?
September intake.
Fall? You were
Fall,
planning for the
fall.
September.
fall, right?
Yeah, fall intake.
Okay. So now
Mm.
are you talking about fall again or are you talking about spring again?
No, like, okay, I can apply September intake as well, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, you
Mm.
can,
Mm.
for
Because
sure.
on 22nd of September, our classes will be started.
Yeah, you can, you can. That's the only thing I told you earlier as well when I was answering a lot of things, right? So I told you, yeah, you're allowed, you can reapply.
What I need to change in like in my DSL
See,
section.
you would have got a rejection letter, right?
Mhm.
Mentioning, I would say, the reason. It gives you the code, right?
Right.
So you just have to go through that code, you just need to go through that letter, you just need to connect, work upon yourself, and then apply again.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
yeah,
So you would be having a rejection letter. It would be mentioning a particular
Mhm.
code. Okay?
Yeah.
Go through
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
code,
Mansi.
research on that code, work onto that code, and improve yourself.
yeah.
Hopefully this time I will get the visa.
Yeah,
Definitely,
for
Gaurav.
sure.
This
All
will,
the best.
yeah, all
Thank
the.
you. Thank you guys.
Okay. Okay, thank you everyone. I have already shared the link where you all can, drop your queries and schedule a call back to us. And Arpan, I'm really, really thankful for joining us today. It was really an insightful session. In case of any doubts, they will definitely get back to you. So thank you everyone. I am ending this seminar and hope this helped you a lot. And can everybody type yes if they really like our session?
Yes, and thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you. I can see
Okay,
many
Gaurav.
yes. Okay.
Okay.
All right, everyone. I'm ending the session now. Thank you so much and good night.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Honey. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.